Welcome back to Monkey Monday. Now today's a pretty special episode because we're actually talking about monkeys for once. Last episode we talked about the strepsirrhine half of the primate family tree. Today we're talking about the haplorhine half. So you know how we learned in the last episode that strepsirrhine essentially means wet nose? Well, haplorhine essentially means dry nose and includes monkeys, apes, and tarsiers. Today we're going to be talking about monkeys. And because they're found in essentially two parts of the world, this video is going to be brought to you in two parts. Now before we start talking about monkeys, I gotta give a shout out to tarsiers, because we're not going to give them an episode of their own. They were once classified with lorises and lemurs because of a few characteristics they shared with them, but it's because of their dry nose that they're classified with haplorhines as opposed to the wet nose strepsirrhines. Tarsiers are a small nocturnal primate with eyes as big as their brains, and you know how last episode we learned that most nocturnal animals usually have a tapetum lucidum to help them see at night? Well, tarsiers interestingly lack this development. Furthermore, tarsier is the only living primate who is entirely carnivorous, meaning they eat things like birds, snakes, lizards, insects, anything but plant material. So like I said, monkeys are essentially found in two parts of the world. You have the Central and South American forms, and you have the African and Asian forms, otherwise known as the New World and Old World monkeys, otherwise known as the platyrrhines and catarrhines. It's all about the nose. Platyrrhines mean they're a little bit longer and the nostrils face out, and catarrhines means it's long and narrow and the nostrils face down. So part one of this video is going to cover New World monkeys, which are generally smaller and more arboreal, or live more in the trees, than Old World monkeys. So between 26 and 40 million years ago, a group of primates made their way from Africa to South America. Now exactly how they did this is still kind of up in the air. Now there's two main theories. There's either a land bridge theory or a rafting theory. The land bridge theory essentially means that while a lot of ocean water was trapped up in glaciers, a lot more land was exposed between the two continents, so primates could just kind of make their way on over. While the rafting theory essentially means that a group of primates just kind of drifted their way on over on a piece of floating vegetation. Now, I'm not entirely sure how that one worked out, but I'm pretty sure it went something like this. Man, it's hot over here. You guys hot? Pretty sure there's a really awesome rainforest over there. You guys want to come? Alright, let's go. Anybody bring any snacks? So regardless on how and when they got there, they got there. Today we recognize 5 families of New World primates. We have tamarins and marmosets, who interestingly are the only monkeys who regularly produce twins. Also, the fathers play a lot bigger role in raising the infants than other primates do. Usually the male's only role is in making the babies. Now we also have the family of squirrel and capuchin monkeys. Now capuchin is the only tool-using monkey. They've been documented using a hammer and anvil tactic where they take a rock and they smash open a nut against another object. Now interestingly, their EQ, or their brain to body mass index, is similar to that of the tool-using chimpanzees. Next we have the family of owl monkeys. Now I'm sorry I don't have a picture to show you. They're not very common in captivity, and I've never been out to the wild to see one and get a picture of my own. Now they're special for 2 reasons. First of all, they're the only nocturnal monkey. And second of all, they live in strictly monogamous relationships, which is pretty rare for primates. Now the next family is titis, sakis, and uakaris. I don't have any fun facts to share with you other than they look cool. Finally, we have spider monkeys, woolly monkeys, and howler monkeys. Now these are the only types of primates that have fully prehensile tails, meaning that their tail can act kind of like a 5th limb, able to fully wrap around branches and help with things like locomotion. Interestingly, at the end of this tail, there's a hairless sensitive tactile pad, which is unique to each individual, so it kind of acts like a fingerprint, only a tail print. Also, because of their arboreal nature, and because their habitat is becoming increasingly fragmented, they're using power lines to get around. Now, you can imagine this is a problem when they wrap their tail around one power line while their body touches another power line. Doesn't end up well for them. Now, we all know the issue of Amazon rainforest deforestation, and monkeys are not immune to this issue. Their population is becoming increasingly fragmented as they're losing their habitat, and soon these populations are going to be too small to recover. Now, part 1 of this video was New World monkeys. Part 2 of this video is Old World monkeys. The Old World monkeys are the ones that stay behind and were just too good for the New World. They're found across Asia and Africa. There's 21 genera of these Old World monkeys. It essentially splits down into 11 of the African forms and 10 of the Asian forms. Now the Asian forms are called colobines. This word comes from the Greek word kolobus, which essentially means mutilated. They get this because of this greatly reduced or absent thumb on their hand. Looks like a stubby little mutilated nubbin. Now the Asian monkeys are also called leaf monkeys. Now you can guess why they're called this. They mainly only eat leaves. Because of this adaptation, their stomachs are a lot more complex and, much like cows, are multi-chambered to deal with the cellulose and all the toxins that are in the leaves. That's why they all have these big old pot bellies to deal with all this. Now I don't have a lot of pictures to show you of these colobines, but I do have the picture of this proboscis monkey, who are the most aquatic of all the primates. I also have a picture of this langur, who showcase the long and non-prehensile tail that most colobines have. So the non-colobine monkeys are called Cercopithecines. Cercopithecines. African monkeys. While they're mainly found in Africa, they're also found in Asia, like the famous snow monkeys that like to hang out in hot springs in the mountains of Japan. Also, like the monkeys that I hung out with in China. If you'd like to see a really awesome video about them, check out the link below. While the colobines are mainly arboreal, the African forms can be both arboreal and terrestrial. And this is where you see a lot of differences between the species that live in the trees and species that live on the ground. The species that live on the ground are generally larger than the ones that live in the trees. They also have a lot bigger group sizes, and they have a lot more pronounced sexual dimorphism, meaning that the males look a lot differently from the females. Now these monkeys are omnivorous, meaning they'll eat pretty much anything they can get their hands on. That's why you see a lot of conflict between African monkeys and farmers, because these monkeys don't see a farm, they don't see someone trying to make a living, they see a giant field of food that's really easily attainable. Now, like all primates, habitat loss is a big issue, but hunting is also a big issue. They're either hunted for sport, for food, or for revenge for stealing from their crops. So that's everything for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something about monkeys. Next episode, we will be talking about apes. Leave your questions and comments below, and I'll see you next Monkey Monday.